But let's begin with Casey Nolan, who's been in the middle of all this evening. Casey?
Mike, I can tell you what we're trying to do right now is balance covering the events of what's going on, of what is going on, and certainly we don't want to be a part of this story. We are back for the third night in a row just outside the Quick Trip, the QT here on West Florissant. We've been kind of going back and forth between periods of calm and some more tense periods, and we're kind of in between, a little on the tense side right now. We can show you just a little bit of video from earlier today how this all started here outside the Quick Trip when St. Louis County police officers right here kind of in what you might consider their everyday uniforms with the riot mask and batons. A heavier armed force showed up, told them to get in their cars and move. They kind of took over, and then that's who's on the front line here. They've moved their SWAT trucks. They're no longer standing as individuals in a line. They have their trucks as their barricade. And Mike and Ann, as you know, the strategy has been to pull the police back from the protesters, but they are still here. Several dozen are staged here at the command center, but just about 3 miles from here at that Quick Trip on West Florissant, where all the protesters are gathered now, it is hard to find an officer.
6 days later, and the crowd is as loud as it's ever been. With no signs they plan to rest on the 7th.
It's not a race thing, it's just about justice.
Thank you.
Friday evening started with more celebrity support.
Wow.
But instead of chants, Reverend Jesse Jackson led a small group to the site of Michael Brown's death and led again in prayer.
What was your message to these folks right here?
Well, don't surrender their hope and don't self-destruct. You can reshape an iron while it's hot, but don't burn yourself.
As darkness fell and voices raised along West Florissant Avenue,
No justice, no peace.
the goal seemed to be to keep the peace so their message can be heard.
I hope they take out the positive aspect of the people coming together for a common cause, for justice, for something that they know we all believe in, that we all want.
The lives of young black men matter.
Some people are worried. Some people think it might get out of control.
No, it's not going to get out of control as long as everybody keep their behavior in check, as long as everybody keep a maintained mind and know what we're really here for, then everything will be straight, sir.
Our crews captured video showing police firing tear gas on an Al Jazeera America TV crew setting up for a live shot.
News Channel 5's Casey Nolan caught up with that crew this afternoon, and he continues our team coverage.
Mike and Ann, what our cameras recorded last night is now part of an entirely separate First Amendment conversation beyond the protesters' right to assemble. We can show you some video here that has been viewed on KSDK.com well over 100,000 times, and it is spread around the world far beyond that. It appears to show police firing tear gas at a TV crew. This is about 15 minutes after police broke up a protest near the QT on West Florissant. They then started moving up the street and came across an Al Jazeera America crew based out of Chicago and one of our crews. Both crews say there were no protesters gathered in that area. In fact, this was outside a perimeter police had set up. It appears St. Louis County fired the tear gas. Later, you can see St. Charles County, a team from there, come through and take down the crew's lights and camera. I asked a photojournalist with that Al Jazeera crew if they were ever told to leave before the tear gas was fired.
We were led to believe this was a safe place to be. There were police cars a matter of 20 feet from where we were, only a matter of maybe 10 minutes before that happened. We were using the police cars as our backdrop, as many people do for live shots. We had no warning at all. The rubber bullet came through, and then the tear gas came straight after that. No warning at all.
I spoke to a representative from St. Charles County's SWAT team that was here last night. He says they did not fire that tear gas. He says when they came along, the gas had already been deployed. All they could see were those bright TV lights. They didn't know what those were. They moved in, he says, to get those lights down, and their only objective, according to St. Charles County, was to just get those lights down for everyone's safety. In fact, they ended up, he tells me, finding that crew that ran, giving them a ride back to their car. We have reached out to St. Louis County Police, and we have yet to hear back from them.
Tonight, the 9 Network of Public Media and KSDK News Channel 5 present a special simulcast of Stay Tuned. Can the events of Ferguson bring about systemic change? Can our young people lead us to solutions? Tonight on Stay Tuned, Catalyst for Change. Tonight's conversation will really have 3 points that we'll be building around, all with the theme of Catalyst for Change. I'll start with you, Art. These can be some hard conversations to have.
Breaking news out of Ferguson, reports of shots fired at the same apartment complex where Michael Brown was shot and killed.
And just minutes ago, people broke into a beauty salon on West Florissant Avenue. News Channel 5's Casey Nolan is in Ferguson with the late-breaking update. Casey?
Mike and Ann, that beauty supply store that was broken into is not far at all, less than a block or so from the apartment complex where the call went out for shots fired. Let me get you into the video here as Don Galloway zooms in. What you can see here is a police scene. They've surrounded the building. What's a little out of our view because we have backed up to not add any energy to this situation.
The situation is escalating outside the Ferguson Police Department right now.
Let's go live once again to News Channel 5's Casey Nolan, who reports that tear gas was used. Casey?
It was, Mike. Real briefly, there was an organized demonstration here. At one point when we were talking to you earlier, people took off kind of running in the direction of City Hall. That's when word started to spread that this car, the police car, had been set on fire. Pardon that. That's when we got, for the most part, the organized effort, as far as we understand, was here at the Ferguson Police Department. Whatever happened, whoever set that car on fire was not part of this larger group, people here are telling me. The owner of the business next to him won't have a shop to come back to either. There are two businesses in this building. The Little Caesars is on the left, where you see the firefighter standing on the right. That, I'm told by another local business owner here who works close by, a couple people have told us this, that is a small mom and pop antique store.
They've been called an anti-government militia, right-wing radicals, even the KKK. And they are armed and stationed on Ferguson rooftops. But as Casey Nolan reports tonight, the group called the Oath Keepers say they're here to protect. Casey?
Mike, the group says its members are current and former military, police, other first responders, and they are stationed on rooftops just about a block from the main protest area. But St. Louis County Police want them gone. While this scene played out on the street Tuesday, the day after the grand jury decision and the violence that followed,
right over here we had an incendiary device thrown on the roof.
Sam Andrews stood watch from a rooftop.
And we started talking to the owners and said, you know, there's a better way. We can help you. You know, you don't have to rely on the government.
And for the past week, the Oath Keepers have remained on the roofs of several Ferguson businesses.
Just into our breaking news center, about 75 protesters inside of the Brentwood Target chanting "Hands up, don't shoot." They walked through the store, but as News Channel 5's Casey Nolan reports, so far things have remained peaceful.
On a day when more and more retailers advertise doorbusters, the Walmart in Ferguson locked up like it might actually happen.
It was like, you serious? I thought this was going to be a long line. I had no idea.
But instead of shoppers, a line of National Guard troops and troopers from the Highway Patrol stood watch. Walmart closed its Ferguson store Wednesday night when word spread it was a target for planned protest.
It was great until it was gone. That's how one employee described business here today before Black Friday was cut short. But protesters say it's a small price to pay to maintain what they see as a movement. More than a chant, it was the goal.
Stop shopping during the revolution!
Organized protest interrupting Black Friday shopping. Friday night, more than 100 protesters marched through Chesterfield Mall for about 30 minutes. Police monitored the march but made no arrest and forced no one to leave.
It's amazing like how they so dedicated.
We need to stir something up in order to get some changes going on.
Seems like the protest here at Chesterfield Mall is winding down. Stores aren't supposed to close for another 2.5 hours, but several have called it a night.
This is a big day for us, and it's just kind of sad. I don't think they understand how much revenue they're killing for the city.
I understand where they're coming from. Like, inequality is something that we all should certainly be fighting for, and police violence should most certainly stop. But, like, doing this for Black Friday, I feel like it's completely out of line, sort of. It's like you're kind of blockading Christmas.
Chesterfield Mall wasn't the only target. The day started with protests and so-called die-ins at the Galleria Mall in Richmond Heights, and protesters briefly blocked traffic and marched through West County Mall into Pear. Black Friday business continued as usual once protesters left.
This is something that's going to go down in history, and I feel like, you know, what's going on is making a difference.
But a lot of people saw it differently. Folks off camera were upset, even angry when they showed up to be turned away with the doors locked. Technically, the mall was only closed for an hour, but most of the employees went home, so about 90% of the stores remain closed.
We have a breaking news update at 3:30 this morning. 2 police officers are being treated for gunshot wounds after a late night of protesting in Ferguson ended with shots fired.
That's right. And we turn now to Casey Nolen, who has been live on the scene this morning near Ferguson and the police department. Casey, what is the latest that you're hearing?
Well, Pat and Sarah, I can tell you South Florissant Road here is closed. This is still a very active crime scene. The victims, as you've said, are 2 police officers. This happened about 3 hours ago, just after midnight, early Thursday morning. As you said, there had been demonstrations throughout the evening on Wednesday after the news that the Ferguson police chief would resign. The demonstrations started and continued through the evening. And then it was just after midnight when the St. Louis County police chief says at least 3 gunshots were fired, he believes, aimed at his police officers.